have a child.
R-rated show coming right up. What's
yes,
up,
but
beauties?
not from me.
Not from Kyle. We'll see if he can keep the streak alive tonight. The 3-show curseless streak. Last week it was Jack and myself. We ruined the t-shirt giveaway. Let me just get back on track here. Let me start off the show the same way every time. This is kind of my, routine, right? Like Jordan Wheel getting on the elevator, going up and down. Let me go through my thing. Welcome to HW Radio, episode 3.35. I'm Jim, and I'm joined by Kyle and Jack. If you're not listening live, please make sure to subscribe and follow and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Spreaker. Before we get into our show, let me give a quick shout out to our affiliate sites, fullpresscoverage.com and bellyupsports.com. Belly Up Sports recently updated their site. They did a great job. Go check it out during our episode. They have everything you need when it comes to sports. They do it, the others don't. And we're finally on there. You guys can finally find us on Belly Up Sports. If you needed another place to find us, there you go. And while you're listening, check out our episode on our site, hwhockey.net. All of our content's up there. Check out the power rankings. If you disagree, let me know. If you think I'm a piece of shit, let me know. So let's get started, guys. We're trying to find fun, positive things to talk about in the episode. We're trying to find I just don't want to be miserable anymore, I want to have fun on this show. I know it's a hard thing to do. If you guys want to recap some of these games, they had to come back 3-1 to beat the Devils and completely ruin my parlay. I think it was Monday night or Sunday. And then last night they had to come back down 3-1 again. They eventually lost like they should have the other night, 6-4. What's going on in your minds, guys? How are we? Give me your thoughts. How are we feeling?
Is it over yet? Uncle Jim. Uncle Jim. Is it over yet?
That's how it feels, right? How many games are left? 7, 8?
Too many. Too many.
It's embarrassing.
It's like we're just watching for the kids now, right?
That's what I keep telling myself.
Who would have thought? What was that?
You said, are we like watching for the kids? I'm like, that's what I keep telling myself. I'm watching for Allison. I'm watching for Jackson Cates. I'm watching for whichever enter name pops up. And, I like seeing Moran get some more playing time in there. Some of the now older kids had some pretty rough games. Like Myers had a nice goal, but his decision-making is so bad. It's so bad. Like, particularly when he pinched and left Giroux all by himself. It's like your defensive partner just got caught and you pinched.
Yeah. And people had the audacity to blame Morin.
Now that was the next one. Morin's fighting whoever. And Myers just goes over and just assists him, leaving the other guy completely wide open. He outmuscles both of them. He kind of had a little bit of a lead on Morin. But, like, Myers just covered his guy. He should just cover this guy. It would have been fine.
He didn't really even outmuscle Morin. All Morin did was go crap unbeat, so he put hands on him and shoved him.
Yeah,
and at that point, it's a 0% chance that dude's going to that guy is not going to score. He's not going to score. And Myers is like, "I'll help you, buddy." Let's just leave Wood wide open. Mike,
I love Wood.
Hard
miles of it, huh?
It's a hard fucker.
We need some more hardwood on the Flyers.
And
we keep benching. We keep benching the only hardwood we have.
All right, let's stop talking about Wood.
It's not a curse word.
Or talk more about him because as much as we are joking, wouldn't mind a couple of Miles Woods on the Flyers right about now. They're like lifeless. I will say this. As much as I hate watching this team, it's kind of fun to watch guys like Wade Allison and Zamula made his NHL regular season debut yesterday. He looked pretty good. What did you guys think of Igor Zamula's first game?
Didn't watch it.
I forgot.
Yeah.
They said Sam Morin scratch, and I said, cool. I'm not turning the game on.
He didn't look out of place. It was good to see him up there. Towards the end of the game, I believe Vigneault had it with Myers and Hag and somebody else. So like Sanheim and Braun, everybody's ice time like skyrocketed. I think Sanheim skated the most minutes, but that part of that was he was, I believe Sanheim's partner was Zamula. So yeah, I mean, from what I saw, nothing that led directly to goals. There were a couple of weird sequences with the Flyers. That one goal by Sharapovich or whatever the hell his name is really pissed me off. I don't know what happened behind the net there. That little dump off I don't know what they were doing. It's a little on Elliott as well, but I can't get too mad at Elliott because he played pretty good, all things considered. But yeah, no, Zamula, nothing to write home about. But he's kind of reminded me of like when Friedman's first call up was like you just really didn't notice him too much. But
I think that's okay.
Yeah,
I think that's okay for your debut. So I had a little bit of an issue with Elliott yesterday. Maybe kind of the opposite there. I just think you got to play better, man. Like Jack, you've said it during the course of the year. Sometimes you need your goalie to just bail you out once or twice. And
let's get one thing straight. So since we last spoke, we've had 2 games against New York, 2 games against the Devils. Elliott was doing enough to get those wins. I think Line had one of those games. But this last game, particularly on that goal behind the net, that was on Elliott. That and the Connor Carrick goal. I mean, he got a piece of it, but he can't be scoring there. Both those goals helped take the lead back for the Devils. So in the third period, Elliott was pretty rough. But like I would say every other game up until the third period against the Devils, he'd been pretty solid. Like, and they hung him out to dry. And they would have had more goals, except for the Devils guys ran right into the goalpost, and they took the net out and they disallowed the goal. Like, yeah, so I would definitely agree with the third period, but overall, he was not the reason they came out of this 2-2 against 2 teams that they're supposed to be better than. I understand the Rangers are, streaking right now, and Sherskin looks really good, but they should have beat both games against the Devils. Like, come on, both games they're coming back from down 3-0. The other game has to go to they have to pull the goalie down 3-1. Giroux only scores in the third period. It's kind of impressive at this point. They got to win in a shootout against one of the worst teams in the league. Like, Elliott just doesn't come to mind. He did win the shootout for him too. I mean, like you give him some credit a little bit there. I'm not going to put this all on Elliott, but I understand where you're coming from a bit.
No, and I'm not putting it all on him. I'm just saying, like, dude, can you just make a big save one time? And I know, like, the play leading up to the Carrick goal, Phil Myers just completely might as well just been a friggin' traffic cone out there, dude. I don't know what the hell kind of defense that was, but Connor Carrick made you just look terrible. And then, like, I guess if you're Elliott, you're not expecting the body and the puck to get by Phil Myers in that position. He could have easily squeezed him off against the boards or taken the puck. Anything to impede him from just dancing around him. And then at that point, Elliott's out of position because who knew that was going to happen? And boom, goal, right? So it's easy for me to look at Elliott and say, hey, why aren't you in your net? But at the same time, Phil Myers has got to play a little defense, play just a little bit physical. That's what we've been kind of busting his balls on for all year, especially Alain Vigneault. You got to wonder if the kid's still hurt, right?
I guess. I mean, unless he took some kind of serious concussion, because it's his decision-making that I take most issue with. Like, he's never been a guy to really throw the body around except for with the Phantoms. And even that took time. Like, he just didn't go in there and start doing it. He eventually started doing it. So, but his decision-making is my main concern with him at this time. And the only other thing I'll add is the Flyers. We've talked about it all year, but they really can't finish. I've seen so many breakaways, penalty shots, odd man rushes.
They need some wood.
Just nothing. Yeah. Just nothing. Yeah, and Semin. We need Alexander Semin too. Some wood and Semin.
Semin and wood. Semin and wood on the same line.
There you go. How's that?
See what happens when we're not allowed to curse.
He needs mustache. He can be the next.
Find a way. What do you guys think about this, by the way?
What, your stash?
Yeah.
I don't know
think
if
it's not November and it doesn't make any sense.
Look like the guy who fixed my car.
Hey, now.
Good job.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I go race car driver. I think old school pitcher. Like I'm not sure. You're teetering on me.
Somebody called me a bald Luigi. I thought that kind of fit a little bit.
If you have to add,
Agreed.
how tall are you?
5'10",
Now
11.
Luigi's at least 6 foot.
Six
Mario,
four.
maybe. Maybe Waluigi.
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
Five.
maybe a little bit.
What was that, Jim? 5'9" on paper, 6'10" in your hearts.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So
let's get
my thing is the decision making of these defensemen, right? How much of it is they literally just either A, they've regressed so much, which I have a really hard time believing, or B, the system makes no sense. So they're hesitating and they're confused about what they're supposed to be doing because it doesn't make any sense.
You
I
hate
don't
the
know.
system.
I go back to certain
can't
plays that
stand
Myers
it.
made.
Cannot stand it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not perfect, especially for these guys by any means, but some of the weaknesses are glaring, like really glaring. Like it's clearly the player being stupid. And I don't get it. Like, why is he pinching there? Why is he going over to help Moran when he's leaving the net wide open? Did he even look back to bother to see if there was a guy trailing on the play that this guy could pass to? Like, it's just stupid. It's so dumb.
I'm going to go ahead and buy into the excuse. I'm going to chalk this up to a condensed season. It's supposed to be another year for these kids to develop. And by kids, I'm thinking of Phil Myers. I'm thinking of Joel Farabee. Unfortunately, Nolan Patrick, but he's still a kid. I'm not thinking about Ivan Provorov and Travis Sanheim as kids anymore. They should have their stuff together a little bit more than they do. Having said that, we can go ahead and look at the other excuse. Chuck Fletcher put together an inadequate roster for the season. Provorov does not have a legit pairing, defensive partner, and neither does Travis Sanheim at this point. So I think you have to look at those things. I'm sure the confidence has taken a hit for some of these guys, and it's like they don't really get a chance to recoup. It's every other night you're out there, or 4 games in 7 nights, or 5 games in 8 nights, whatever the hell they're doing. I mean, that's tough, man. When you're out there, you're professional. Even if you're a professional athlete, you're putting your body to that test. Like sometimes you just need 2 nights off in a row. You know what I mean? And they're not getting that.
Ain't working. You ain't selling me. I promise you. I'm gonna give you some names. Some young defenseman, Adam Fox. He's like getting Norris contention, consideration. Ty Smith. These are both on teams that are probably not going to make the playoffs. Both young defensemen playing a same similar schedule have both killed it this year. And so it's like, why are we this sissy team? Why are we can't wait to throw out an excuse. I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about the Flyers. Like, that's all we hear. Well, it's a tough schedule. It's condensed. Every team has gone through their COVID thing where they missed some games. Every team has gone through these back-to-back. The only difference is these teams get through it and either win or lose, depending on if they're a playoff team or not. We're the only ones who use that frontline excuse right away. It's COVID's fault and it's Hart's fault. That has been the mantra all season.
Yeah, the blaming of Hart pisses me off royally.
Jimmy, I listened to your post-game show. I do not remember his name. He covers the Devils, I believe. And it was good.
Oh, Steve Palumbo, yeah.
Palumbo, yeah. It was good. Like he covers. I mean, he was talking about everything. You were right, whatnot. But he did say, like, it seems the Flyers still goaltending still an issue, and I cringed. I legitimately cringed, and I was like, I get why. Like, is that what people outside view it as? It's the goaltending because we just showed the defense for the entire beginning of the show. Goaltending is not by any means solved. Don't get me wrong, but he even said the number one problem with this team is the goaltending. That's not true. It's not true.
If you look at it from so this is how I look at what he said. Goaltending's still an issue. When I look at it, when I'm studying a different team, I obviously don't get to watch every game. So I'm going to the box score. And if I'm seeing 20, I understand what you're saying. But if I'm seeing 22 shots and 5 goals against, it's like, ooh, that's bad.
Yeah, but I was hoping for a little bit more than box score checking. I mean, I try to have my finger on the pulse of what like the rest of the division does. You know what I mean?
That's your job, Jack.
Yeah, yeah, that's the post office. This is all passion, baby. No, to your point, I feel like most people feel that way or do that. And that's where this narrative gets built and is overwhelming odds against what's actually happening, which is very frustrating. And it's like, if you watch these games, it is clearly the defense. Yes, goaltending could be better, no doubt. Hard, worst season of his career. It's going to be tough. Hopefully he bounces back and there's no long-term scars. But this defense is an absolute joke.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a combination of everything this year. A lot of players regressed, like woefully, like bad. And the coaching staff itself regressed. They have done nothing to fix any of the issues we see. Nothing at all. None of the systems have changed from game one to now. Nothing has changed. The
Can you
power play
implement a new
still
system
shit.
during the season?
Why the fuck not? He did it going into the playoffs.
Break your streak.
Oh, I did, didn't I? It's one. It's one. You got me fired up. I can't help it.
Don't go against him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a thing, and especially a year like this. I don't know. Can you just, okay, guys, scrap that. Let's start doing this. I don't know. Isn't that kind of going backwards?
Well, it's not scrap that. Let's start doing this. It's instead of this, when you're here, make a slight adjustment.
Yeah,
No,
I don't think
it's
Kyle
either-
meant like start from scratch. It's just you adjust. You have to put your players in a position to succeed because you're not the GM. You're not going to be able to go out and get new ones. So you can move guys up and down the lineup, and you have to worry about injuries. But you can do things to improve your team. My issue is it's not everybody, but it's a lot of this team. I just don't think that they have the will to like want to really win. Like the fact that we have to play the Devils, come back from everything's a comeback. We got to pull the goalie to tie it, to get it to an overtime, to get it to shootout, just to beat the Devils. And then we get smoked. Oh, we didn't get smoked, but like because we came back, we went down 3-0 to the Devils. Jimmy, I heard you say, when was the last time the Flyers won a game by more than 2 goals? February? Like that's a joke.
February 28th.
That is a joke. Like, are you serious?
2 months.
It's 2 months ago today. Today, they have not won a game by more than 2 goals. That's a joke. That's a joke.
It's pretty bad
Come
It
on.
was one.
for a professional
they-
sports organization.
I don't care what system you're playing. Like, you have to be better than that. There's nobody on this team outside of maybe Giroux who really only comes alive when the team's down in the third period to get which is great, to get the game tied or whatnot. But who really puts the team on his back and steps up in tough situations. it's always
But
the
it's
opposite.
Giroux's fault. It's Giroux's fault.
Well, they're always
Trade
being
him.
other people.
Trade him, strip him of the sea, ship him to wherever. I don't
Come
even
back
know
to-
anymore. They're just ready to get rid of him, dude. Twitter is unbelievable. Twitter is unbelievable, man. I can't even keep up with the negativeness.
You
And,
stopped
I
watching
mean-
the Flyers. Like you kind of stopped watching the games. I stopped like really communicating with Twitter. Like it's all the same crap. And I'm just like, I can't have the same conversation again. I can't do it.
So, can I
Actually,
ask
this
you
week's been
guys
a little
this?
Positive.
Can I ask you guys this? Do you think the playing of Zamula,
No.
playing of Allison? Okay. So do you guys think the playing of all these kids is a tryout for next year's Flyers team or a showcase for a possible multi player trade?
I think
probably both.
they want to see what they have for both, really. I think in Zamula's case, it is an audition because he could have been called up this year if things would have went better. He sniffed around. We didn't have a real camp, so he didn't really get to give his best shot at making
True.
it. So you tend to do this every year when you're out of the playoffs, and it covers everything. Like, why not? If somebody comes along and is like, I was on the fence about this player, he looks like he might be NHL ready. I'm ready to include him in a deal, whether that's us saying that or a team wanting him saying that. Why not? Unless the guy gets absolutely destroyed, well, then at least you know what you have on your hands, and you could focus on somebody else and say, you got to go back. I'm going to bring the next guy up. That's all it is. It's just seeing what you have. So you and the NHL have a better idea of what the asset is.
Do you think a guy like Sanheim takes a pay cut after this year?
A
No
cut
way
is
in
tough.
hell.
Cut is tough. I could see him making probably the same, I guess. Maybe he won't get the years, or if they'll offer him more years and get a pretty, if they do that, he might be more inclined to take a longer term deal for less money than you could imagine. And then if he does come into his own, we got a pretty good value on our hands. To hold, I
Probably
can't.
gets a 2-year deal to the end of the
It's most
flat cap, and then
likely-
he gets that big raise.
It's most likely going to be a short term deal. I wouldn't even
Does
try
that-
to take a 1-year deal.
Does that put him as a UFA? That's the only thing that would concern me is at the end of another 2-year deal. Don't quote me on this, but I kind of tend to lean towards thinking Sanheim would be a UFA, and in that case, his price goes up even higher. So if you can lock him up for 3 at the same, then I'd be okay
Yeah.
with that. But I wouldn't go
If you're
much over.
buying- If you're buying any unrestricted free agent years, it usually costs you more. I just think the play hasn't been there, so maybe there's a discussion to be had. Maybe he's doesn't have as much leverage because his play has gone off. But I'm not as worried about Sanheim as I am about some other defensemen. It has been bad, don't get me wrong, but if he were to go somewhere else, it wouldn't surprise me if he, with a real team and a real defense and coaches, became a pretty solid player. So he probably knows that as well. So it's probably going to be a short-term deal. It wouldn't surprise me if it was just 1 year and then he just, because this was a weird year as well. You had the COVID, you had all the excuses, all the crap. Would not surprise me if he just had the same exact year. 1 year, what I was making last year, regular full season, full training camp, and then we'll see,
I'm sorry.
Hi, Jim's girlfriend.
So
She's
something
not a
I wanna-
wife yet?
not yet. Soon
I
to
figured
be,
that.
maybe.
I figured the balls to cut that stash in. It had to have been a
Brought me a nice
ring
cup of
involved.
tea. A spot of tea. Yeah, things are getting pretty comfortable, right? If you can grow a stash.
Almost really appropriate.
Here's an interesting thing. So this kind of ties in because there's a lot of I'm sure you guys have seen it, and it's kind of been pissing me off a little bit. People are comparing Nolan Patrick's path right now
Oh, God.
to Sean Couturier when he first started out. Okay.
What?
And so the thing that I originally wanted to talk about kind of ties in, and that was, you guys know Sam Bennett, right? He used to play for Calgary, was just traded to Florida, is playing outstanding down there. I think he's got like 10 points in 7 games, playing very, very well. 3 assists last night. I'll get back to that in a second. Now, people are saying lay off Nolan Patrick because people were calling Sean Couturier a bust, and everybody wanted to trade Coots before he became, what he is, a almost point per game player and a Selke Trophy candidate. And I'm like, they're not comparable because the people who were saying that Coots should have been traded
Or
while he was
irrelevant.
developing, they don't really watch hockey, right? They look at stats. Oh, they drafted this kid first round. He's not producing. He should be traded. If you watch hockey, you know that Sean Couturier was shutting down Evgeny Malkin in the playoffs as a rookie. You know that. And that he was very, very good defensively, was never put in any offensive situations, always put in defensive situations. So you can't really compare them. Now, if you want to compare, let's say, work ethic, Sean Couturier busted his ass to stay on the team, did what he was told. Do you think he wanted to play defense as a third-line center, as a first-round pick? No, that kid had offensive talent. Nolan Patrick, 2nd overall pick, gifted a roster spot, did not have to make the team, right? Ron Hextall said, put him right on the team. Given everything, doesn't look like he wants to be here. They're not comparable. I just want people to stop comparing Nolan Patrick to Sean Couturier.
Well,
What do you
let's
guys
be
think?
straight about one thing. When Couturier was here, it was a good thing. We really liked Couturier. We're like, he needs to get more time in the offensive zone. That narrative got to Craig Berube, and he had to address it. That's how much we were pushing that narrative. Nolan Patrick, nobody's pushing for Nolan Patrick to get more time. Everybody's like, who are we trading him for? Where's he going? Nolan Patrick is
Exactly.
comparable to Pat Falloon because they're both number 2 overall pick bust. That's why. That's the only person he's comparable to. Like, come on.
Good name drop right there.
That's a joke. Couturier was good. He was very, very good. We wanted to see him get more offensive zone time. Patrick has done nothing. Nothing. He's been terrible.
Mhm.
Well, he has
I
played.
agree. Yeah.
So did
And that's
Pat
all we
Stewart.
really
Pat Stewart
that's
played
how
too.
pathetic things are, man. That's how pathetic. Like, we said that in the beginning of the year. If he plays a full season, that's a win. And he is.
Yeah.
And so, this is what
He
it
didn't.
is.
He missed 2 games.
So I will say this. The skill is there for Nolan Patrick. Think back to his first 2 years in the league.
He doesn't want to play.
Right.
He doesn't want
flashed
to
a
play.
little
That's what
bit.
it boils down to. He doesn't
It's
want to
true.
freaking play here. So get rid
It's
of him.
true. I said it.
There was never a single time in Sean Couturier's career with the Flyers that I went, that dude doesn't want to play here.
Yeah. I 100%
I
agree
agree.
with you. He was doing everything he could to give the Flyers a chance, to the point where a first ballot Hall of Famer, essentially was so frustrated with him that he had James Neal taking cheap shots at him, and the Flyers, an underdog team, eliminated a Stanley Cup contender. A lot on the back of Couturier, other players as well, but he made a difference in that series against a very, very good team. Where Nolan Patrick, we can't even get into the playoffs. He's supposed to be pushing for a second line center role. He can barely keep it in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Chris, real quick in the comments, I love you. Love that you tune in. Yariev's a pretty good dude. I actually like him a lot. We've had him on the show before. He's had me on his show. They're real good people at Flyers Nitty Gritty. I don't have anything bad to say about them. It's not just there. It's not just Yariev's opinion, Yariev's take. If he had that opinion, I didn't see it. I'm just speaking in general, because you're right. It is the younger crowd that kind of thinks this way. And it's like, guys, do you watch? Like, did you watch Sean Couturier progressively get better, do what he was told throughout his career? They're just not comparable. They're different animals. Nolan Patrick doesn't want to play. Sean Couturier did what he had to do to get to where he is. He's a future captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. You would think. Selke Trophy winner.
Yeah, in our opinion, that he gets our endorsement immediately.
I
don't think anybody here is arguing.
Single year. He got better every single year, and he was thrown into a pretty rough role to begin with.
He didn't just get better. This is the thing that really bothers me with people who try to compare Sean Couturier to Nolan Patrick. Sean Couturier didn't just get better. He got better, and then he held it there. He had back-to-back 70-plus point seasons? He was on pace again this year to have another, if it was an 82-game season, even though the Flyers are absolute dog crap and he missed all those games, he's still on pace for another 70-point season.
To me, he still looks like he's improving every year, as weird as that is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And this is so out of left field for me. It's like people are trying to make excuses for Nolan Patrick when you're grasping at straws and you start making stupid comments that just really don't make sense and aren't backed up. I don't even think the analytics, there's no way the analytics back this up even. Like, come on. There's no way. There's no way.
Jack, watch it. There is some nerd right now on his computer like,
Well,
I'm gonna handpick some neutral zone analytics.
What game would that be from? We've all seen Nolan Patrick. He missed all last season. His very first season was okay, I guess, at best. You're going to go back 2 years now to figure something out for me? Like, come on.
Jack, listen to me. I found an analytic that is in Nolan Patrick's favor. The bench is 72% warmer when Nolan Patrick is sitting on it, because he's there for an extended period of time. But that's
Jack
neither
doesn't
here nor
like
there.
that one. Look at his face. Not impressed, Kyle. Not impressed. Oh shit.
I very rarely am I lost for words, but you got me.
So let's take this in another direction here. So what's interesting is Sam Bennett, a former 4th overall pick. I forget the
I
draft,
wanted him.
2016, 17. You did say Sam Bennett. Playing very good hockey, seemingly gelling with Huberdeau and why do I always forget Barkov. Yeah, I mean, he just looks like he's fit right in, like he's been there all season long. Could this potentially happen with Nolan Patrick? And if it did, would you guys be upset? Would you good riddance? How would you feel?
It is what it is. This is the shame. This is the bad part with Nolan Patrick is he's not going to succeed here. He's not. He doesn't want to play here. It's pretty obvious. Body language, his crappy attitude. He doesn't want to play here. So you gotta move on from the kid because that attitude in the locker room. We've been talking constantly this year about how bad the attitude is in the locker room, like at least from our standpoint, like, and a lot of it's speculation, but if you have that piece constantly sitting there soaking or poop freaking crap attitude the entire time, like, it's not going to work here. It's not going to work for the kid here. It's just not. It's not what we need. It's not what the team needs. It's not what Philly needs. So go succeed somewhere else. I don't care because it's probably going to be on Winnipeg or Calgary. And let's be honest, they don't have a chance in hell of winning anything. And your career is going to be pissed away putting up blast statistics. Somebody's going to enjoy your Corsi wherever the hell you go. Who cares?
That was pretty epic right there. Very nice rant. Well done, Kyle.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. I don't know that even what Sam Bennett is doing right now is sustainable. He just finally got traded, and a lot of guys get that change of scenery, and there's an initial outburst. He's also playing with, as you said, Huberdeau and Barkov, who are two very, very good players. And that's a team he went from a team on the outside looking in to a legitimate playoff team, and I think that can revitalize you as well as playing with real talent.
And it's also worth noting, like Jack said, exactly what Jack said. Sam Bennett was playing third line, fourth line minutes in Calgary. Mm-hmm. You're not going to put up numbers.
He's got Joe Quenneville as his coach now, who kind of knows what he's doing. First
just a little bit. He only has a couple Stanley Cups.
Just a bit, So yeah, I mean, is that sustainable? Not maybe it is. I don't know. But ultimately, I don't know what Sam Bennett becomes. But Patrick, if I see him being moved and doing something similar, I would be like 99% sure if he got moved and his wingers were like Ovechkin and, insert top line scorer, he would have a little fluff in his stats, but then he would go right back to who he is and how he plays. The drive isn't there.
I don't see him getting over his the greatest thing that ever happened to hockey attitude. Yeah, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And he doesn't have the pure talent and skill level to back that attitude up. And in Philly, listen, you guys know as well as I do, this town prides itself on work ethic. And right now, there is none out of this team with the exception of Wade Allison.
Hey, looks very good. You made a good point there. So I believe Nolan Patrick does have the skill. I think you're right. If he had the work ethic, he could be very good. 60, 65 point player. But unfortunately, he doesn't want to be here. And he's going to cry his way out of Philly. He's going to go to Winnipeg or wherever he wants to play. And I bet he does put up 55, 65 points. And I'm okay with that because it's not going to happen here. Same for Ghost,
Let me be honest with you.
Send him somewhere else.
That conversation we had with Anthony Sanfilippo was very eye-opening to me particularly because whenever a team has an asset that is drafted as high as Patrick, where the potential's there, we've all admitted the skill is there, and you're just trying to get it to come out, you usually hang on to it. Even if it's not the best decision, teams tend to hang on to it because of what the asset could be or what it could be worth. When he told us flat out they tried moving him for like not that much at all, it was like, wow. They know more than we do, and they're done with them. So what does that tell you? Like, holy cow. Sam Bennett spent like 7 years in Calgary before he got moved. This is technically year 2 because he missed all of last year. Like, we've barely seen Patrick, and they're already done with him. That's very, very eye-opening.
They don't need to see any more from him on the ice. They've seen enough of him off the ice. It's what it tells me, That's kind of how I was last year. Like, cut the fat. Cut any BS off the team. If the goal is to win and you want everyone to focus on winning, cut not necessarily cut, because I know you guys are going to take me later. You can't cut this guy. Cut anybody off the team who's not focused on that. Well, when I say cut, trade him for something.
I
obviously.
totally forgot about our preseason. You were like, let him walk.
Get him out of here.
You know what? Though?
Yeah, I don't want guys that aren't focused on the only goal that they should have, and that's to win a Stanley Cup. If you don't want to be here, get out of here.
If they couldn't get a second round plus for him walking wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You know what I mean? If his value is truly,
Well, I mean, I'll take. Honestly, it's the same thing with anybody. I'll take whatever I can get.
I agree, but
like, I want. It's like with It's like with Ghosts. Like same concept. Like I want whatever I can get for him. And they tried the trade market, and everybody kind of laughed.
They
laughed Fletcher out of
it. Caught him.
Yeah,
because of the money. Yeah, it goes a little different because of the money, but Patrick makes.
I know, but it's. I understand, but I think Patrick is one of those perfect fluff pieces in a move. I mean, this team has zero, like with the exception of maybe 4 players, has zero will to battle every shift. They just don't care. And they have made it like obnoxiously obvious that they don't care. This core needs a shakeup. The bottom 6, obviously, because you got Lawton and Lindblom, and I don't foresee them getting rid of Lindblom. Just the press headache alone, you just don't want to. You don't even want to deal with that. But this bottom 6, as far as the 4th line goes, get them all out. I don't care about Knack anymore. Knack showed me exactly who he is this season. He's I'm going to show up maybe once every 5 or 6 games. We have enough of those guys. And on your 4th line, I need a guy that goes out every single shift. Every single shift, whether you're playing 5 minutes a night or 10 minutes a night. I need you to bring it every single shift. You know who comes to mind for me? And obviously this is neither here nor there, and there is no getting the guy because he's retired. But do you remember No. Well, yeah. Lappy for sure, but that's not who I was thinking of. I was thinking of a guy like Cam Janssens. Do you remember Cam Janssens? That guy played 5 minutes a night, but guess what? You remembered all 5 minutes of that dude being on the ice.
Yeah, they do need guys like that. High energy, passionate players. They have one job, and that's to make sure the team is ready to go. You know,
Cassian is not coming here because Cassian is sorry, I'm looking at the comments. Cassian is McDavid's bodyguard. Yeah. Cassian's McDavid's bodyguard. They're not getting rid of Cassian.
Yeah, they need to go find those guys. So I think it's interesting that you brought up, the team or the I don't know why I can't think tonight, the team mentality or the whatever. If they bring in a player that can kind of ruffle some feathers, like maybe
players.
Like fight Jake in practice, something like that,
Oh, that'd be great. Just beat the piss out of Jake.
Yeah, somebody to come in and just be and I know I got made fun of before for saying this, but like an alpha male. Like, hey, I'm here to fucking work. I'm here to win a cup. I'm not here to go out drinking with you during the, while we're supposed to be in the bubble, Jake Voracek. We're here to win a cup. I'm here for business. I don't want to be in Philly, but I want to win a cup. I'm here. I'm going to make the best of it, right? So I think if you bring in a guy or two like that, and they kind of get some of these other players on their side, some of the younger guys, and you outnumber the guys that are too comfortable, I think you can change a room that way. And I think that's the only real route that they can go. I'm going to be honest. I don't see Seattle taking JVR or Voracek. Why would they? There's other teams that have contracts just like the Flyers.
Because you're going to give them something that other teams can't. We have a plethora of young...
your franchise to a fan base that you don't know how well they really follow hockey. They're just going to be Seattle fans. So you need a big name, and Voracek still has a big name. You're still going to have to give them something. Don't get me wrong. But if you say show a team that has some big names you've heard of, it might drive ticket prices and sales. That's the only way I can think of it.
Maybe.
But again, like I was saying, you have a plethora of pipeline players, that aren't, as far as I'm concerned, a guy like Knack. He is what he is. He's not a stay in the NHL type player. You got guys like Rubstov, which I don't even know where that guy's at, but here you can have that guy, take him, because he's not doing anything for us and he's not going to. But you can
He might be
build.
in Russia still.
He might be, I think so, yeah. But you can build something, you know what I mean? They did.
Yeah. They say, yeah, the leagues are starting back up, but you can stay if you want. That's what they think of the germ.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
you got a plethora of young defensemen that can go. Like,
Speaking of young defensemen, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Speaking of
fine.
young D, did you guys see any of Cam York's debut down with Lehigh?
I heard he had a really rough first game, but I think he got a goal last game.
I know he had. Didn't he have like a couple assists?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, the points there. The offense seems to be there.
Call him up, baby.
That's good.
Hey, did Cole Caulfield play with Montreal? I seen that they had him penciled in the lineup last game.
I don't know.
Did he end up
he
playing? Did he
He
do
did his
anything?
Solo lap? Nah, I'm sure you would have heard about it if he did. Like
I would've
Montreal
told
would.
you. My phone. I have
be
it
all over everything.
App. It would have went off.
I can't wait for Cam York to play his first game and get a hat trick on the power play.
He'll be the next Andy Delmore. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Hobie aboard. Hobie aboard. Hobie Baker Award winners. Very, very tough company to be with there. I mean,
Matt Carl.
Paul Correa, Jack Eichel.
I wanted to bring this up, guys, because I was looking at it the other day, because you know how I am. I try to think of things like, if I'm the GM of the Flyers, like what are my moves? I was looking at the UFA list going into next year. On defense, aside from Dougie Hamilton, there's nothing. So that's going to have to be addressed via trade, because I don't know if they're going to be signing Dougie Hamilton. That's going to be a big money signing, and it's going to take a lot away. The other thing is, on forwards, I didn't see a lot of big names. Obviously Ovechkin, but he ain't leaving Washington.
Could you imagine?
Oh my God!
For Russia, it's not somewhere else. Yeah.
Imagine that the Flyers actually do go out and get Ovechkin, and then all the people on Twitter who shit on the fans who go, "Oh, the guy that the Flyers fans describe that they want is Alexander Ovechkin, and they'll never get him." Imagine if they got him. How funny that would be.
Never.
There's listen. I will put the deed to my house on the line that they don't fucking get. I said it again. That's 2.
That's number 2. Episode 3.35. Kyle puts his house for sale, or puts his deed up. Don't forget for when the Flyers signed Alex Ovechkin.
0% chance.
Noah Patrick would score a certain amount of points this season too.
Wait, how many did you say?
Oh, I don't know. What did I say?
No, yeah.
He knows.
I said he was going to play. I said for sure he was going to play game 1. He did.
Sudden case of amnesia over here.
All the ones he nailed.
I also
tell us.
And I also said JVR was going to be on pace for 35 goals, which he is.
He was at some point.
It was at some point. I like that one went off his face. That was great. Typical.
A goal's a goal. They don't ask how, they ask how many.
Goal's a goal.
Hey, you know what I was most impressed about with that? That he actually came back out. I didn't think he was going to come back.
With the thing on, yeah.
I was impressed by that.
He got a real goal.
He scored again.
Do you guys think there's any chance they try to bring Simmer back? Would you guys be okay with that? I would.
So that's funny that you bring that up, because I was listening to a Toronto guy talk about Toronto, and he said if Simmons asked for more than 1 year, really, they might let him walk. And that thought came to my mind, like, well, if he's free, what we need, he's available. He'll obviously a lot cheaper than what we were looking at. And it's not like he would go home. Toronto is his home. So if he's not playing for Toronto, it's either another Canadian team, or why not come back to Philly? You still got Giroux. You still got half the guys you liked.
I know that on the Sheriff we talked to Mike Futa, and off the record we heard that Simmons was very displeased with Hextall not signing him.
Hey, you know what? If I'm Fletcher, it would definitely get the fans off my back a little bit.
I have to agree. I mean, they really not that they gave up on him really early, but the dude did play his with his heart on his sleeve, and he did start battling some injuries because of the way he played. And that's the type of player that we're talking about here in that bottom six that could slide up and down the lineup.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It was really just a money thing. Like, he was looking at trying to get a long-term deal. That didn't happen, but the Devils still paid him $5 million, which we weren't going to do. And he really wasn't that good there. And now that he what is he making with Toronto? Like 2.5? Like,
I'm not sure.
Bottom six money for an older guy. Okay, well, that makes sense we got a lot of guys I'm sure they want to see up, but if there's one forward depth signing they could make, especially if they're very active with the trade market, which we're led to believe they could be, I don't think it's that crazy. And I think it makes sense in a bunch of different categories. The fans would love it. It would be a feel-good story in that regards. It would add to your grittiness and whatnot, which we need, leadership, locker room presence, all of that. I'd be all for it, honestly. It's got to be 1 year.
1.5. I would give Wayne 2.
Nah, those guys, they go off a cliff fast. You got to be careful with how many years you shell out.
We thought he went off a cliff when we got rid of him.
And well, he did.
Let's be honest here. He's off a cliff.
Goals,
let's be honest.
He scored like 12. That's a cliff. But I'm not saying he's probably still being an NHL player. But how old is he at this point?
I don't know.
Because I
have a thing.
You don't
32.
You don't want to be shelling out years when you got young guys you want to come up.
32.
A lot of this could be based on who we move, trade wise. Like if Fletcher goes ham and straighten everybody in sight, then I guess it doesn't really matter as much. But 1 year deal is not a problem. 2 years, I would listen. If it was like $1 million a year, no big deal. But I could just see it being a year. Or you know what? If that's what pries him away, lower AAV, but it's 2 years, depending on what else Fletcher does, that's not that bad. 32.
I would gladly give him 1.25 at 2 years.
Oh, I thought you could say 1.2 at 5. That's what I thought you could say.
No,
that's not hard.
No, because I just feel like that's a player that the Flyers could really feed off of.
No, I agree.
His style, his will to win, that's something that you can't teach. You can't teach how hard that dude works. And like you said, third, fourth line guy, I wouldn't mind seeing Wayne Simmons on my fourth line right now. The amount of crap that we've been putting up with between Cody Cizikas cross-checking Lindblom in the face, somebody running Patrick headfirst into the boards, and nobody saying anything, 0% chance nobody would have said anything if Wayne Simmons was in the lineup.
And with that Scott Hartnell jackknife at center ice, I'm sure Simmons would have had something to say about that.
You mean Scott Lawton? Because Hartnell hasn't played for a couple of years now.
Oh, he hasn't?
I didn't even notice. I
thought that was Hartnell the whole time. Wow. Yeah, Scott Lawton.
I feel like bringing Simmons back into this locker room
would have said something. Sorry,
I feel like bringing Simmons back into the locker room is you're not changing anything. It's going to be the same old boys club.
That's why you're right, and that's why I alluded to it depends what Fletcher does. You got to get Jake out of here. If JVR goes to Seattle, that's not really messing with the locker room, if you ask me. Jake is one of the guys that has to go. I have no issues with Drew still being here. He can't really move Hayes, but that's why I think you have to go all in on getting Jake out of this locker room. Then I don't think it's as big of a deal. Because if Toronto does big things in this playoff, God forbid they even win, Simmons is going to be a little bit different. They're going to look up to him.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Unless he comes back and he's like, guys, I've been in 4 different locker rooms since I left, and they do things a lot different than we do. We got to change some things up if I'm going to play here, right?
I think the locker room when he was here was different.
How?
Well, listen, Kronger was the same way. When he came here, he was in 5 different locker rooms. He played for, Jesus, who even drafted him? he played for, it wasn't the Blues, but he played for the Blues. He played for Edmonton. He played for the Ducks, and then he came here. Like, he's been all over. And if he can do it, Simmons can do it. Now, I know that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to.
Player at the time.
Pronger was like a difference maker, though. Like, I don't know if you can compare the two.
Cost 3 first-round picks and a prospect, but like, if you can get a guy on the cheap that is familiar, I could see Fletcher doing it. Is what I'm getting at, because of all the boxes it checks. Fans might get off my back a little bit, especially the large majority that want like grit and people giving a shit about playing. It could change the locker room potentially. Whalers, there it is. I knew it was somebody who was, I was going to say Nordiques, but I knew it wasn't Nordiques. So yeah, he's been around. It's not the same effect. Like, the Flyers got Pronger and they like went to the cup. Like, I don't see that happening with Simmons, but like, I don't think it's going to be as detrimental to the locker room, or we're not going to bring everything back to 2015 when things weren't successful. I think that's more on getting Jake out of here, because Drews shouldn't leave. Jake should leave. And unless, do you really throw TK into that? Because he really didn't start playing with this team until he was like a little bit later.
Depends what comes back. I'm totally on board to get rid of TK train as long as it's a package deal. I'm telling you, I am so stuck on the Calgary Flames in a package or package deal.
Hold on. So, Kyle, I'm glad you brought that up. And Jimmy, I'm glad you said what you said. So when we always talk about these players, Jimmy says, why? Why do you want these guys, right? Here's my I have an answer for this. So we look at all the players that want to go to New York: Adam Fox, Panarin, pretty much every college free agent, because they're a destination. Jimmy, did you not say the Flyers are no longer a destination city?
They're not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Guess which one player would come to Philly? Johnny Gaudreau. That's why he keeps being brought up in rumors. He would sign here. He would theoretically sign here because he's from here. I can't think of another player in the NHL who would look at Philly and say, I want to go there, besides Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah, because he lives here.
Exactly. It is.
He used to live here. But that's not like big name players saying, I want to move to Philly. It's, I want to go home.
And but the point is, that's the only reason why we talk about these guys, because they're the only ones we can get. They're the only ones we can get.
I'm not even talking about Johnny Gaudreau. I think he would be included in the deal just because.
Right.
I think Calgary wants to blow the core up. I want Monahan so bad.
But that might not be feasible. Maybe he comes and at the end of his deal he walks. I don't know. But long term, the reason Gaudreau has been mentioned with this team, go back 4 years, and it probably until he's not here, that's the reason why. We're not the destination city like we used to be. So only guy realistically coming here and staying here is Gaudreau.
We no longer have an owner that actually gives a shit.
Well,
there's no tradition anymore.
There's not. It's just another team with a gritty and a playing style.
I didn't know that. It was speculation, but now it's been confirmed.
and
we
just
cannot confirm this rumor.
Just to go back a little earlier into this conversation on the chat board over here, I called Ratcliffe a bust years ago,
and then we had him on the next episode. All I'm saying is the only reason you never really see any other name linked with Philly long term is because we're not a destination city, and the only reason he would come here is because he's from here. Now watch him wind up in New Jersey or something just because I said that. But I'm saying, like, that's why. Like, there's what other player like Laine? Well, he probably would have walked in 2 years because he wants to play on the West Coast. So like
he's definitely walking from Columbus after this year.
That goes without saying. But he's going to be probably a king, maybe a duck, but he's going. So
I think he's going to be a shark. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to fit him. I don't know how they're going to fit him into that cap situation over there. But I think he's going to end up being a shark.
Yeah, I would be impressed if they pulled that one off, but it's still West Coast, which is what he wants. And like, what other player could the Flyers realistically, get, or free agent wise get and keep here? Even Dougie Hamilton's not guaranteed. Like he say we all want him because he's the biggest name. I know we all have feelings about him. He's the biggest name. What if he says, yeah, your organization is a joke? Like, I know you're offering me a lot of money because you need me, but like, I can pick and choose where I want to go. There's nobody else on the market. So I'm going to have my pick of suitors.
That dude, wherever he goes, that dude's getting paid straight Drew Doughty money. He's going to be making $11 million a year, wherever he ends up. With the flat cap or not, somebody's paying that dude. And I pray to whatever Lord you believe in that it isn't Philly.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. The only way the Flyers improve the roster this offseason is by trade. They're not going to go out and get
they got to get guys out of here.
Yeah, it's not.
And you're right. We can't afford to sign most guys because we're wrapped up in horrible players. And you're right. You're right. Gaudreau is not a great player. He's a good player. He's probably like a better complementary piece to somebody else. The only reason he's linked with us is because he's from here. And the odds of him coming here are high because nobody else really will. And Voracek, it's Seattle or bust. Nobody's taking him. I promise you.
Anybody else kind of feeling like the Flyers are just screwed?
If they do not get rid of Voracek and that free up that money, yes. Because what do you do then?
But if they get rid of Voracek, don't you think they're going to replace that money with something else?
Well, that's part two. You have to hopefully use that money properly on defense.
I don't have confidence in Fletcher making big time deals like that. If that makes any sense, I don't.
Career, he's wheeled and dealed. He's known to have made a lot.
Wheeled and dealed who?
He traded Brent Burns.
He did trade away Brent Burns, but
that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, Brent Burns.
So who's next? Provorov,
a prospect. Then he acquired Dubnyk for like nothing, and Dubnyk was like a really good goalie for them for a couple of years. He's drafted good defensemen, so hopefully Cam York's pretty good. I don't have all the confidence in the world in him either, but I'll tell you this. I would rather get rid of Voracek and hope on the devil I don't know more than the devil I do know. You think we're better off with Voracek than without him? And crossing our fingers, our GM makes the right decision with the money? Because what's the worst case scenario? He signs another Jake Voracek, then we're right back where we started.
Well, hopefully not at the beginning of that contract.
I mean, you would assume the player would be younger, but I'm hoping that even if guys need to step up, and the way you get guys to step up is you get guys who aren't doing nothing for you, who are bad for the locker room, which we're all saying, getting them out. There's no way this team's winning with Voracek. I don't see it.
I hope to God Dumba doesn't come here.
Why would Minnesota trade him? They're playing very good hockey.
Well, unless what's his contract at? Unless they think he's going to ask for a ridiculous amount of money or something.
I think he has years.
Yeah, but didn't they sign that other? Didn't they sign that other kid? And it was like kind of like, they're going to move on. Yeah, they're going to move on. Yeah, they're going to move on from Dumba because they signed that other kid.
That was all early off season last year, before the Line A shit. I remember hearing a lot of that.
That's kind of how I feel. What Mike
Where
just said.
Where do you think Kaprizov came from, though? It's Fletcher. I mean,
that's great. So, what are we going to wait another 5 years before?
That's how the draft works, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not. He did sign Eric Stahl, and he scored 40 goals for them. Now
we keep drafting D. We're going to have to wait anyways.
I promise you, I will not die on the Fletcher Hill. I promise you that.
Dumba has another 3 years at $6 million.
Yeah, I mean, unless they had to move him because they want to use that money elsewhere. Yeah, I don't know. Fletcher's made a lot of mistakes, Jimmy. I know you can't wait to bring up the Vegas expansion draft. You're not wrong, which is why I would never die on this hill. But he's made bad moves. He's made good moves. My point is, he makes a lot of trades. This team needs a lot of trades.
I'm not confident. I'm not excited for this offseason. I'm not optimistic like I want to be after his first year. I'm kind of like, please just don't mess this up. Don't give away anybody for free. Anybody that's good. Don't do what you did with Vegas. Just don't ruin everything. Like we've waited for years to see some of these.
What? Ruin what?
I get it. We've waited years to see Ivan
Dude.
Provorov, Travis Mann, Phil Myers is up here. In my opinion, they just need a piece or two on D. Please move Voracek and fill out a spot or two on the bottom six with some energy guys. Don't lose anybody that's essential to this roster. That's all I want.
Who's that to you? Who are your essential players?
I don't want them to lose a Sanholm or Myers for nothing. Offensively,
Nothing.
yeah, I just like or don't include Zamula in a trade to get rid of Voracek or something stupid like that, or like a Myers because he was an undrafted and you didn't sign him, so he's not your kind of guy. Like, don't just give guys away. I don't know.
I agree with that.
I mean, I'm just throwing names out. I just don't trust Chuck, and I don't have the same excitement after year one that I do right now. I'm just hoping that
everybody's so black or white with this. Year one, Fletcher's really good. I really like what he did. Year two, this guy sucks. I'm trying to stay even keel. And I'm like, this was a good move. This was a bad move. And if I'm going to give him any kind of shred of hope, he looked at this roster, looked at this team, and looked at the future with the flat cap and was like, there's no way that I can make a legitimate move here and make things work. From what we heard, they made a legitimate offer to Pietrangelo, excuse me. And like, he obviously didn't want to play on the East Coast, so he's with Vegas. He's a pretty damn good player, so I'm glad that they recognized that they had a hole on D. They went for the best guy on the market, knowing they probably wouldn't get him. And, he struck out. But he also didn't sign a guy who's not that good, but a slight upgrade to a 5-year deal, strapping us long-term and whatnot. We were told Chara was not coming here. We were flat out told that. We know that for a fact now. He was not coming here. So that was out. So I could hopefully assume that he didn't think it would be as bad it was going to be, but knew that this season was a little bit of a bust. Hopefully the kids step up, which they have not. Now he knows all eyes are on him. He needs to move pieces across the board and improve this team, or he will be out of here. At least you think he would. But he knows that this team needs to improve. So knowing all that, he had his bad season. He needs to do something. Now I'm looking for him to actually get into the nitty-gritty of everything and move players that aren't his, so he's no connection to them. I got to assume he's not going to move nothing for nobody. Hopefully he learned from his past mistakes, like with the draft coming up. And looking at the Wild team, looking at the Flyers now in this expansion draft, I think he would probably see this team the same way we do, and getting rid of a certain player is probably at the top of his priority list for cap reasons, but also for locker room reasons. And I don't think any prospects will be involved. I think it'll be draft picks. So we'll see. I understand confidence being low, but I think if I look at him from when he took over this team till now, there is a silver lining. And I just need to see if I'm right about it. And that's going to be this offseason.
Hopefully. So why don't we wrap this show up? We're just over an hour in. We'll end it with some hope for Chuck in the offseason. We still have 7 games left. I think 7 games left. I don't know what it is anymore. It's definitely under 10, thank God, in this season. The Flyers have the Devils 2 more times this week. I believe it's tomorrow night, Thursday, and Saturday. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to win. And I'm not going to ask you guys if you think they're going to win because I don't care. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. I hope they lose. Improve your draft position. That's where we are, again, with this Flyers team. Guys, you got anything you want to promote before we wrap up?
I got to pee like a son of a gun.
I've been there. Been there. Keep some empty bottles in there, buddy.
Didn't you do that once, Jim, on a podcast?
Multiple
Very
times.
Very
I
early.
only told you about one time, but multiple times.
New episode of Flyers or Full Circle dropped. Check that out. It's a little depressing. Flyers really suck. But we did talk about the Sealski comments about the Giroux contract, the Voracek contract, and Sealski has proven yet again he is a dipwit. Yeah, there's 6 games left. That's not too bad. I can live with 6.
Hopefully. I think they have the Devils four more times.
Devils,
How many
Pitt,
times?
2 with the Devils, 2 at Pitt, 2 at Washington, and 1 final one with the Devils.
They're going 0-6.
Jimmy, you never talk like this. They're going undefeated. They're going to sneak into the playoffs. They're going to win the cup.
Not happening.
What happened?
No.
And it's to the point where I want to see them lose.
Aren't they
10-0 every time.
mathematically eliminated?
No, not yet. Just in Flyer fashion, they'll wait till the very end to be eliminated. They'll come back like they did, the other night and lose. So,
That sounds about right. I mean, that's their MO all season.
like, just do us the favor and just die, so I don't have to keep watching. Hopefully you guys keep listening to us, though, because we'll have a lot to talk about on each and every show. But that's going to do it for this one. Make sure you guys get outside. Wait, we got to give out a shirt.
How many, we hit 3 curse words, 3 F-bombs were dropped.
Yep. So let me just
Addy.
I didn't have a hat trick, did I? I only dropped 2. I only dropped 2.
Was it only 2? I thought it was 3.
Only 2. 2.
Did I say one?
No empty netter at the end of the game here, at the end of the podcast?
Just throw one in.
No.
Say F.
All right, let's go. Manny, hope you're listening. Free shirt coming your way, buddy. Manny Benavides. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. Chris, Mike, Manny. Who did I miss? That's it.
There's
That's
somebody
it
at the
tonight.
very beginning. I can't remember.
All right, we're done. We'll be back next week with more content. Good night.
Talk about the Flyers' undefeated streak.
Oh, my God.